Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aurelia. Today's video is going to be a review, swatches, and tutorial on the Urban Decay Naked Heat Petite palette. In all transparency, this is the second time that I am shooting this video for you guys. The first time I shot it and I looked at the review and it just wasn't good. So here I am shooting the review segment of this video for you guys again with the same eye look. I went ahead and created what I did yesterday, pretty close. I think the lip color is different. I wanted to bring you guys a review, give you my thoughts on how it compares with other palettes that are in the same tones, in addition to looking at it against the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I'm kind of looking at the Petite Heat as a companion to the Naked Heat, although it can stand on its own, I think. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the packaging. The packaging is very, very compact. It's very similar to the other Naked Basic palettes that Urban Decay puts out. And it is 6 eyeshadows that you get in the palette in various shades of warm tone. I really do like the way the palette looks, but what I really like about it, one, it's very compact. Two, I like the fact that the image that it has on the actual palette is kind of cool. It's roses that are kind of smoldering and burning. You've got flames that are coming up out of them. Typical Urban Decay, matching it up and making it look very complementary to the Naked Heat palette. I really like the packaging. It's very compact. It's easy for travel. It has a really nice sized mirror. For being such a small compact, I could easily use this mirror to do my eyes with. This is really nice packaging. Again, very standard Naked Basics type packaging. The first shade that I'm swatching for you is called Inhale, and it is your typical bone shade. It has a little bit of a sheen, so it's gonna catch the light a little bit, which I really like that Urban Decay did that. In a palette of nothing but mattes, it's nice to have something to kind of break things up a little bit, you know, and so Inhale is that shade where you are gonna get a little bit of reflection when it does catch the light, which is nice for a brow bone highlight or even an inner corner highlight if you choose to use it for that. The next shade is called Vibrate, and it is slightly deeper. It is kind of like a beigey tone. It's slightly lighter or maybe more yellow than my skin tone. It's a really, really nice transition shade. It's a really, really good blending shade. It goes on very nicely. The next shade that I'm swatching for you is called Hot Spell. And this one reminds me a little bit of Peanut Butter by Too Faced. The reason I say that is because it is a beige, or probably I would classify it kind of as a very light brown, but it does have yellow undertones to it. The next one is called Wild Thing, and this one is the brightest one of the bunch, and it is an orange shade. To me, it looks like it pulls a little bit yellow. You really have that bright pop of orange in the Saucy Sienna's palette as well. I would say that this is kind of like that shade, but not quite as intense. And I think that the Dose of Colors orange pulls a little bit true orange versus Wild Thing, which to me seems like it pulls a little bit more yellow, or it has more of a yellow undertone to it. The next shade in the palette is called Heat, and it is great for deepening up the crease. It is also really good for the outer corner if you want to use it for that. It's really pretty. It's a really nice terracotta, I think is the best way that I would describe it. It is kind of almost like a true terracotta, and also has got a little bit of yellow undertone. The last shadow in the palette is called Strike. It's a deep brown. It's got kind of a really warm undertone, and it is really, really nice. Of the eyeshadows, Strike was the one that felt the most dry to me. It felt a little bit gritty almost, but when I applied it to my eyes, and I applied this color all over my lid, when I applied it to my eyes, it looks really, really pretty. It's very opaque, very pigmented. And with all of these eyeshadows, as I applied them onto my eyes, I had no fallout with these eyeshadows. These eyeshadows went on very, very easily. They went on very, very well. Both times that I did this look, I experienced the same thing. Really, really nice eyeshadows. As you can tell in the swatches, they're very, very pigmented. They're very soft, and they blend very, very easily. And you know that that's very important to me. I like to have shades that blend easily so that I don't have to spend a whole lot of time blending, because in the mornings I just don't have that kind of time to sit there and blend, you know, for what feels like hours on end. Now that we've talked about the packaging and we've done our swatches, let's go ahead and dive into the review. The first thing that I noticed when I was applying these eyeshadows, and then when I looked at the look when it was done, and caught me by surprise, is that these shadows all have a little bit of a yellow undertone. They pull yellow, and that was a bit surprising to me. I was not expecting to have yellow. I was expecting it to be a true blue, warmer oranges and terracottas and such, like the Saucy Siennas. You know, the Saucy Sienna eyeshadow palette is a true orange palette. I mean, the shades are everything orange. You don't really have any kind of like variation from that. They're just extremely warm shades, very orange. These eyeshadows, on the other hand, appear that they're going to be the same as the Saucy Siennas, but this eyeshadow palette is actually quite different because you get a lot of yellow undertone on these. I would go so far as to say the shade Hot Spell almost pulls like a camel tone. Camel is more of a yellow based brown. That was surprising and also refreshing. So that in itself makes them very different from Saucy Siennas, which I thought, oh, this is going to be a comparison video. They're going to be exactly the same. But I wanted to bring it to you guys because I wanted to let you know what I felt were the differences between the two palettes. Outside of the fact that the Petite Heat has got some better selections as far as like the very light tones. You know, I actually have a brow bone highlight in the Petite Heat versus the Saucy Siennas, which the peach or the orange tone that they've got in there for the brow bone highlight is just not bright enough for me. The Naked Heat does have that option though. You do have those lighter tones in there that you can use for highlighting. Truly love the fact that they do pull yellow though. I can't say that enough. I found it really, I was very surprised by it, and I'm really happy about it. And the other reason that the yellow makes me happy is because when you're looking at the Naked Heat palette, you've got a lot of shades in there that are very red and very smoky and really warm. The one thing that I always talked about the Naked Heat palette is I wish that it had more gold, or I wish that it had a gold shade in there, because I felt that that would make it more versatile. Now that I've got the Petite Heat that I can pair up with this, I don't necessarily think I would need that gold tone, because I've got this companion palette that's going to bring in a little bit more yellow and bring in a little bit more diversity. Now, you do have to end up getting both of these in order to get to that. If you do happen to have the Naked Heat palette and you want to add a little bit of something to it, this is a really good one. I think it's a really good companion. I've mentioned how pigmented and blendable they are, and they are just as good as the matte eyeshadows that are in the Naked Heat palette. I think the shadows are very easy to work with. They are so easy to work with. They blend very well. Even a Strike, which I mentioned was a little bit more gritty and felt a little bit drier, blended beautifully into the other shadows that I have. You know, I was able to very easily get a really nice gradient effect from dark to lightest. I did use every shade in the Petite Heat on my eyes today, you know, because I really wanted to achieve that real gradient effect, and they all blended so beautifully together. I was just amazed by how pretty and how easy this smoky eye look came together. And smoky eyes can sometimes be an ordeal. This came together like in 10 minutes max, which is pretty quick. I think when it comes to me doing my eyeshadows, to get them done in 10 minutes or less is like fast, and I was able to get to this smoky look within 10 minutes. The shadow quality is very good and doesn't disappoint. So the $1,000,000 question, do you really need it? There are so many warm toned eyeshadow palettes, both matte and mixed, out there that I don't necessarily think that you absolutely need to get the Petite Heat. I think that if you have the Just Peachy Mattes by Too Faced, or if you've got the Sassy Siennas, you know, or even if you've got the regular Dose of Colors browns eyeshadows, I think that you pretty much have what you need. If you are a collector, if you're like me and you love makeup and you hoard makeup, then you might want to add this to your collection because it is a pretty little palette. It is a great companion to the Naked Heat. I can't wait to try them together to see what I can come up with. I think that right there is probably going to be something that I'll be doing in the next week, is playing around with them in that way. So for a collector like me, yes, I think that, you know, this is something that you would want to have in your collection. As a beginner, yes, I think that this is a really pretty eyeshadow to start out with. If you're just kind of getting into makeup, or, you know, you want to kind of expand what you're doing in your makeup routine, the Naked Petite Heat is a really nice little palette, especially if you like warm tones, and especially if you don't mind a little bit of yellow undertone. They're beautiful and they're very, very easy. There's very little learning curve, I think, with these eyeshadows because they're just so easy to work with. Also, you know, similarly to the Dose of Colors eyeshadow palettes, you don't have a lot of selection, so you don't have to worry about being overwhelmed on how many eyeshadows you have to work with and what the hell am I going to do with them. You can throw together a, you know, really dramatic look like I have on now, or you can put together something really super easy. I think probably even easier to do it with the Petite Heat than with like the Saucy Siennas, like I mentioned, because the Saucy Siennas are very, very intense, and I have had a really, really hard time trying to come up with a really low-key look with those eyeshadows because they are so intense. This little Petite Heat will get you that low-key, you know, I can wear it every day kind of look with warm shadows. So there is that to consider. And then again, there's always the 40 plusers is what I call us, you know, those of us that are over the age of 40. And if you're kind of reluctant to use shimmer shadows, or you just want to have a really good matte eyeshadow palette with you, yes, I think that this is another one that you would like to pick up. Overall, what kind of grade do I give the Naked Petite Heat palette? I give it an A. I think that it is a really lovely little palette. I'm really, really glad that I picked it up. I thought, you know, I'm just going to use it once for this video and it's just going to sit in a drawer because I've got the Sassy Siennas, and that's not true. It is not going to sit in a drawer because it has differences. There are differences, and so I am excited to use this. I want to pair it up with the Naked Heat palette to see what I can do with it. All right, everybody, that's all I have as far as the review is concerned. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Also, don't forget to share this video if you have friends that are interested in the Urban Decay Naked Petite Heat palette. Also, if you are new to my channel and you enjoy my video content, then please don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the way out. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you will always be notified when I have new video out. Let's go ahead and get into the eye look. So if you want to see how I came up with this eye look, then please stay tuned. All right, so I am starting out with Hot Spell on my transition shade, or as my transition shade, and using my Moda Pro brush. This is the crease brush, I believe, and just applying that down as my transition shade. Next, I'm going in with a small shader brush with Strike and putting that onto my mobile lid. This is a brush I've had forever from Bare Minerals. Honestly, I don't even know if it has a number, but any small shader brush will do. And I'm taking that and I'm patting it down onto the mobile lid, and it's really, really opaque, or pigmented I should say, and no fallout. Alright, next I'm going in with Heist, and I am adding that into the crease right above Strike. And I really like how nice and intense it is. And then I'm going in with a little bit more Hot Spell and just blending Heist out a bit. Then I decide to use Wild Thing, and I'm kind of layering it on top of Heist to kind of intensify it a little bit. And here is where I start to realize that this palette is running a bit yellow, which is okay, but I was really, really digging it. Going in with a little bit more Hot Spell and doing a little bit more blending. Again, still using my Moda brush. For Wild Thing, I used a small Morphe, I guess it's a crease brush. Alright, and then adding in a little bit more Strike because I did lose some in the blending. And then using a little bit more of Heist and blending that out. Again with a small Morphe shader brush. Next, I'm going in with my absolute favorite brush. This is the Luxie 237, and I'm adding Vibrate. And as you can see, I kind of messed up a little bit there, but look at how quickly that blended away. I mean, it was like I put an eraser, magic eraser or something on my eye. It was amazing. But just softly blending all of those shades. Then going in with a little bit more Wild Thing and using that on the lower lid with my ColourPop E10 pencil brush and just applying that down as the base layer. Next, I'm going in with Strike, and I'm using the same small shader brush, and I'm applying that right up along my lashes to deepen the lower lid and to start the kind of the smoking out of it, and just making sure I attach everything. Next, I'm going in with Vibrate and Hot Spell combined, and I am using that to smoke out the lower lid using my Luxie 237 brush, of course. And then for the brow bone highlight, I'm using Inhale. And again, as I mentioned, it's a beautiful bone colored shade. Then I decide to go in with the Pat McGrath Sublime palette, and I can't remember the name of that particular shade, but will have it listed down below. This is the finished look, and I really like how it turned out. A brown smoky eye is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and this palette helped me to do that. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!